time moves fiercely and relentlessly. It transforms people's worldview and the look of entire cities. But we have forgotten nothing. We invite you to explore 20th century America with us. Here you'll find images filled with the spirit of their era, each photo a window into history, capturing dreams, style, achievements, and the mysteries of times gone by. Outside the Avco Center, fans line up for the game-changing premiere of Star Wars. This isn't just a queue. It's the birth of blockbuster culture, captured in muscle cars and bell-bottoms. The street buzzes with anticipation as cinema history unfolds, forever imprinting itself on America's urban heart. A crowd in hats and evening wear gathers under the dazzling lights of Warner's Theater, moments before the historic premiere of Don Juan with John Barrymore. This isn't just a movie night, it's the birth of sound cinema, with the Vitaphone system set to change entertainment forever. The energy is electric. The city is awake, watching history unfold in black and white glamour. Here, joy beats the Great Depression. Harlem kids leap into a game of leapfrog, turning city pavement into a playground. Behind their laughter, classic Fords and brownstone facades hint at a world changing fast. Yet childhood energy refuses to fade, even in 1930s New York. A grandmother and her young companion find calm in the chaotic heart of New York's Greyhound station, July 1947. Between departing travelers and distant announcements, she turns waiting into an adventure, reminding us that even in transit, family brings warmth to every journey. The Dongan Hills Ferry slices through post-war New York waters, packed with men and women separated by era's custom. This floating microcosm hums with city life, straw hats, pressed suits, hopeful gazes, all bound for Staten Island, with the skyline just a haze on the horizon. Flapper hats, bright lights, and shelves lined with sweets. This is Mrs. Snyder's candy store in roaring 1927 Chicago. Women scan the selections, perhaps for luxury after Prohibition's constraints, or a treat before the city's next celebration. The mood is electric, every jar and box promising a moment of joy inside the city's jazz-fueled heart. Two street vendors steal a break at their makeshift table, sharing lunch and laughter in gritty post-war New York. Empty crates become chairs, and newspaper napkins the only luxury. This is survival with swagger. Their meal may be humble, but the city's pulse runs strong in every bite and every unfiltered story. Chicago's Water Street, April 1915. A sensory overload of horse-drawn wagons, crates, and steam-powered trucks. Merchants and laborers hustle in dense crowds, turning city blocks into a living river of commerce. The chaos is pure energy, old America running at full speed before the car fully claims the streets. Eager fans snake down the block at the Avco Center, waiting for the first showing of Star Wars on June 7, 1977. This is more than a film premiere. It's the dawn of a pop culture era. Muscle cars and bell-bottoms fill the street, as Hollywood forever changes under the glow of the galaxy's future legends. Morning sunlight carves sharp shadows across 8th and Broadway, where Los Angeles crowds swarm Tower Theater. Cable cars rattle past while flappers and office workers crisscross. Modern energy meets Spanish Revival grandeur on the city's hottest urban stage. Every window beams new ambition, as 1931 pulses with Hollywood dreams and electric optimism. January 1938, Times Square pulses under towers and neon, a crossroads of glamour, grit, and hope. Theater marquees shout vaudeville and new Chevrolets, while bundled crowds hustle through the cold, chasing headlines and dreams. Taxis, trolleys, and city noise blend into a living rhythm. This is the raw heartbeat of old New York. Laundry lines crisscross gritty brick as sunlight and billboards battle for attention. New York, 1935. Fresh sheets dance above crowded tenements, daily life strung out amidst the city's relentless advertising. Every piece of fabric tells a story. Every poster chases another sale in a neighborhood built on survival and ambition. A lone worker balances on the steel skeleton of the Empire State Building, 1930, New York, unfurling dizzyingly below. No harness, no fear, just grit and a skyline bursting with ambition. The Chrysler Building gleams in the distance, while this quiet daredevil helps birth the tallest marvel of a rising modern world. Beneath towers of citrus and pyramids of potatoes, a young boy stands watch at Center Market, Washington, February 1915. The bounty seems endless, brightening winter's chill with promise. Here he's not just selling. He's mastering the rhythm of a city fueled by fresh flavor and endless hustle. While Nazi tanks raced toward the heart of France, this New Yorker stood on a bustling midtown corner, reading about civilization collapsing an ocean away. Malted milk for 5 cc, lunch specials on every sign, democracy's clock ticking down in a newspaper headline. The contrast is haunting. America still sleeping through its ordinary Saturday, while Paris counted the miles to disaster. This sidewalk at 6th and 40th captured the last moment before the world would never be ordinary again. They lined up like fallen dominoes, wearing their best flat caps to wait for work that wouldn't come. Legendary photographer Louis Hine captured this devastating row of men at New York's docks in 1934, when 1 in 3 New Yorkers had no job. These weren't lazy men. They were carpenters, stevedores, and fathers dressed in their Sunday dignity, reduced to hoping a foreman might point at them for a day's wage. By this point, half the city's factories had shuttered, and 1.6 million people depended on relief. The docks, once America's gateway to prosperity, had become its waiting room for despair. In the depths of the Great Depression, when half of New York's factories had shuttered, these juice stands became America's exotic escape for a nickel. Pineapple and orange nectar sold tropical fantasies to people who couldn't afford bread. The stand's formal white setup and dignified customers in summer suits show how Depression-era New Yorkers clung to normalcy. You might be broke, but you could still sip something called pineapple nectar, like civilized people. Notice how even the kid crawling beneath gets his turn at the counter. 5 cents bought everyone a moment of sweetness when nothing else could. Legendary photographer Dorothea Lange captured this Sunday social hour on a North Carolina dirt road just months before World War II erupted. The men gathering not for church, but for Coca-Cola, cigarettes, and conversation between kerosene and gasoline pumps. Every inch of weathered wood screams advertising, Texaco, Chesterfield, Old Gold, brands plastering rural America with the promise of modernity, while folks still sat on wooden planks. The man in the doorway was the store owner's brother, presiding over this temple of commerce where tobacco farmers could escape the fields for a bottle of pop and the week's gossip. San Francisco's cable cars climb Powell Street like mountain goats, threading downtown's steep canyons, just months after WW2 ended. Victory parades have faded, but the city's energy spills down every block. Old glass and concrete frame a street frozen in time, lined with 1940s cars and pedestrians soaking up California sunshine without a thought for ration cards. The legendary Fairmont looms above, while the cable car in the foreground is still powered by the same underground cables that survived earthquakes, fires, and even battles to shut them down. This photo is classic post-war San Francisco. Tough, stylish, absolutely unrepeatable. Central Park, May 1946. Two New York legends battle wits over a battered chessboard as sunlight turns every pawn into a monument. One's hat screams, "Old World Dignity." The other's cap says, "Brooklyn Dockyard." Here, age and strategy are all that matter. Their silent showdown outlasts the city's noise, a ritual older than skyscrapers and post-war headlines. For these grandmasters of leisure, today's victory is just another story for tomorrow's bench. This is Manhattan at war, 1942, the beating heart of the world's busiest port, where troop ships and cargo packed every pier, and skyscrapers soared above blackout drills and coded messages. The waterfront looks like an armored jaw protecting the city's treasure. Wall Street's towers flanked by the shadow of war. Liberty Park's quiet arc cutting into the chaos. Every ship in the harbor is a lifeline. Some are headed for battlefields, some for distant factories, each one tied to the fate of a global city. This aerial shot isn't just impressive. It's a map of New York's unstoppable ambition during its most dangerous year. This photograph from 1914 isn't just dizzying, it's iconic. Painter crews dangle nonchalantly on the Brooklyn Bridge's massive web of steel, as if gravity were just a rumor. The daring pose was orchestrated by legendary photographer Eugene de Salignac, capturing workers and their supervisor as musical notes stretched above New York. No safety harnesses, just guts. The city beneath them is growing fast, but these men turn maintenance into myth. The old Cincinnati Library was a cathedral for book lovers. 5 dizzying stories of cast-iron balconies, flooded with sunlight from above, a real-life labyrinth of knowledge. In this photo, a lone visitor becomes an explorer, dwarfed by walls packed with hundreds of thousands of books. Every step echoes over checkerboard marble and through shafts of light. This place looked more like a dream than anything real. Sadly, it was demolished in 1955. Today, this vast literary palace survives only in memories and haunting photographs. Cincinnati's Mount Auburn Incline was a marvel in 1906, an industrial roller coaster soaring above tightly packed townhouses, connecting the city's flatlands to the smoky heights of Uptown. Its steam-powered street elevator hauled streetcars, horse-drawn wagons, and sometimes adventurous passengers gazing out at a patchwork of rooftops and factory stacks. Each trip up the track felt like a leap into the future, a dizzying ride fueled by tons of coal and pure Cincinnati ambition. Today, only photographs and stairways mark the site where the city once beat gravity with steel and steam. Engineers pose inside a colossal steel pipe suspended high above Black Canyon, the arteries of the Hoover Dam, freshly forged and ready to tame the wild Colorado River. These penstocks were big enough to swallow whole teams and would soon channel millions of gallons of water to spin the West's turbines. Built during the Great Depression, this project fused grit and ambition, transforming desert into power and possibility. For one vertigo-inducing moment, these men stood at the center of American engineering's greatest gamble. In 1923, the only way to prove a bulletproof vest worked was to take a bullet to the chest, literally. Inventors W. H. Murphy and his assistant from the Protective Garment Corporation of New York staged live demos, letting police shoot at them from 10 feet away. Murphy reportedly didn't flinch as .38 caliber slugs bounced off the vest during the Washington, D.C. test. The invention was gutsy, but so was the sales pitch, risking your life for every order. A bird's-eye view of New York in 1930 reveals a surreal sea of hats, thousands of men in the garment district moving in perfect urban choreography. From above, the crowd transforms into a living tapestry, every fedora and Homburg a dot on Manhattan's giant canvas. This was the golden age of headwear. Hats signaled status, style, and anonymity in a city that never paused. Cars barely split the flow. Back then, the uniform was sharp suits and a hat. No exceptions. The USRC Bear and SS Corwin slice through a frozen labyrinth off Alaska, 1900, living proof that explorers didn't just battle seas, but entire continents of ice. Giant floes dwarf the steel hulls as smoke and masts reach for the Arctic sky. Every inch of the journey a brutal gamble with nature's teeth. These ships carried supplies, rescued whalers, and sometimes vanished for seasons in the shifting white. It's adventure and survival at the ragged edge of the world, where determination mattered as much as steel. This wasn't just a race. It was an American odyssey across mud, dust, and chaos from New York to San Francisco and back. Early cars with spoked wheels, open cockpits, and drivers dressed more like villains than speed demons faced endless rain, axle-snapping potholes, and unruly crowds on every main street. Reporters and mechanics huddled around their machines, cheering every victorious mile, each breakdown another wild chapter. It was risky, loud, and absolutely legendary. Proof that passion for speed and adventure always wins. December 17th, 1903. Against a bleak Carolina sky, the Wright brothers' homemade flyer lifts into the wind, mankind's first true leap off the earth. No cockpit, no seatbelt, just raw nerve and bicycle parts keeping Orville airborne for 12 unforgettable seconds. Wilbur runs alongside, watching the impossible become history on a lonely strip of sand. In that moment, the age of flight is born, and the world will never look the same. Cape Canaveral, July 24th, 1950. Engineers and photographers brace for the thunder as Bumper 8, a hybrid of German V-2 and U.S. Army W-Ace Corporal rockets, roars skyward and marks Florida's entry into the space age. This was no simple launch. It was the birth of America's iconic rocket coast, with smoky clouds swirling where only alligators and mosquitoes had reigned. The rocket's two-stage climb set altitude records and tested the future of space exploration before Sputnik even existed. Every camera on the beach caught history's spark as a new era of impossible dreams ignited. The Hindenburg disaster exploded into history in just 37 seconds, an 800-foot airship turning to fire as it tried to dock in New Jersey, May 1937. Cameras and newsreels captured every moment, the burning hull, passengers leaping for their lives, and the sky itself, lit with panic and flame. Once a luxury liner of the skies, the LZ-129 vanished in one of the most spectacular catastrophes ever witnessed, killing 36 people and shattering the public's faith in airships forever. This single searing image became the symbol of the end of the Zeppelin age.